Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes the greatest truths in life are not hidden in long books or complex philosophies. They're hidden in short, simple phrases. Just a few words that, if you truly understand them, can turn your entire life around. Today I want to share with you 4 words, only 4, that can transform your life forever. Are you ready? The 4 words are "it's up to you." Let me repeat that. It's up to you. Not your boss. Not the government. Not the economy. Not your past. Not your parents. It's up to you. 1. The power of responsibility. Jim Rohn once said, "You cannot change the wind, but you can adjust the sails." Life is going to send storms your way. The winds will blow against you. Inflation, setbacks, disappointments, failures, they're all part of the journey. But here's the question. Will you blame the wind, or will you adjust the sails? When you accept that it's up to you, you shift from being a victim to becoming the captain of your ship. Responsibility is not a burden, it's freedom. Because the moment you accept responsibility, you gain control. The first thing I want you to understand is this. The real power of your life begins the moment you accept responsibility. Responsibility is not a punishment, it's not a burden, and it's not about blame. Responsibility is freedom. Because when you take responsibility, you take back control. Think about it. When you blame circumstances, you are powerless. When you blame the economy, you are stuck. When you blame your boss, your childhood, or even your past mistakes, you hand over the steering wheel of your life to someone else. And once you do that, you become a passenger instead of the driver. But the truth is, you were never meant to sit in the passenger seat. You were designed to lead, to create, to choose, and to build. That's why the first great transformation begins with these words. It's up to you. Life, my friends, is full of winds. Sometimes they're gentle breezes that carry you forward with ease. Sometimes they are violent storms that knock you down, test your strength, and challenge your spirit. You cannot control the winds. You cannot control the rain, the storms, or the tides. But you can always adjust the sails. That is the essence of responsibility, not controlling everything, but controlling how you respond. You don't get to choose the cards life deals you, but you do get to choose how you play them. And sometimes playing your hand well is what makes the difference between defeat and victory. Now, people often ask, but what about my situation? What about the things I cannot change? And that's exactly the point. Responsibility doesn't mean you control everything. It means you own your choices within everything. Let's say you grew up poor. That wasn't your choice. But whether you stay poor, whether you educate yourself, whether you build wealth, that part is up to you. Let's say you face setbacks, disappointments, even betrayal. Those things weren't your choice. But how you rise from them, whether you use them as excuses to quit or as reasons to grow stronger, that part is up to you. Jim Rohn used to say, "Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for fewer problems, wish for more skills." That's the voice of responsibility. It's the understanding that life doesn't bend to your wishes, it bends to your disciplines, your growth, your effort. Responsibility is the discipline to stop pointing fingers and start asking yourself, what can I do? How can I grow? What's my next move? Because the moment you start asking those questions, your mind shifts from victimhood to leadership. Let me give you an example. 2 people can experience the same setback, say losing a job. One person will complain endlessly, blaming the company, the market, or unfair circumstances. They sit back, powerless, waiting for someone else to rescue them. Another person will take a deep breath, accept the reality, and say, "All right, it's up to me now. Time to learn new skills. Time to network. Time to create new opportunities." Same storm, different sails, and guess who will end up with a brighter future? The one who took responsibility. But here's the truth. Responsibility is not always easy. It feels heavy at first. It feels unfair. It feels like too much. Why? Because it's easier to blame. It's easier to say, "It's not my fault." It's easier to lean on excuses. But ease is the trap, my friends. Ease robs you of growth. Responsibility may feel heavy, but that weight builds your strength. It sharpens your character. It develops your resilience. It forces you to grow into the kind of person who can actually handle success. Because let's be honest, success doesn't come to the weak, the lazy, or the excuse makers. Success comes to the strong, the disciplined, and the responsible. The great irony of life is that the very thing most people run away from, responsibility, is the exact thing that gives them power. You see, responsibility gives you freedom. If it's the economy's fault, then you're stuck until the economy changes. If it's your past's fault, then you're doomed forever. But if it's up to you, then you can start today. If it's up to you, you can decide to wake up earlier, read more, exercise, invest, start a side business, change your environment, or build new habits. If it's up to you, you never have to wait for permission. You never have to wait for the world to fix itself. You simply decide and then you move. Imagine what your life would look like if you took full responsibility, starting today. Imagine what your health would look like if you stopped blaming genetics and took responsibility for your habits. Imagine what your finances would look like if you stopped blaming the system and took responsibility for how you earn, spend, and invest. Imagine what your relationships would look like if you stopped blaming others and started taking responsibility for how you show up, how you listen, and how you love. The possibilities are endless the moment you accept those 4 words. It's up to you. So the question is not whether storms will come. They will. The question is not whether life will be fair. It won't. The question is, when the winds blow, will you stand there blaming the wind, or will you adjust the sails? Will you keep waiting for someone to hand you a better life, or will you finally accept that your life is waiting for you to take charge? The choice is yours. And the moment you embrace that choice, you unlock a power that no economy, no person, no past, and no failure can ever take away. Because at the end of the day, the power of responsibility is simply the power of freedom. And freedom begins when you finally say, with conviction and without excuse, it's up to me. 2. Your future is not fixed. Some people believe their destiny is written in stone, but your future is not a lottery ticket, it's a set of choices. Every day, with every decision, you are writing the script of your life. Read the book or scroll the phone, it's up to you. Save the money or waste it. It steps up to you. Exercise or stay tired. It steps up to you. Your future is shaped not by big events, but by small daily disciplines. And when you understand this truth, you never feel powerless again. One of the greatest lies people tell themselves is that their future is already written. They believe that their circumstances have already decided who they are and where they will end up. Some say, I was born in the wrong place, so I'll never succeed. Others say, I made too many mistakes, so it's too late for me. And still others think, my destiny is out of my hands. Whatever is going to happen will happen. But that is not the truth. The truth is, your future is not fixed. Your life is not a script written by someone else. Your future is not a lottery ticket where luck determines your outcome. Your future is created day by day, choice by choice, discipline by discipline. Every single morning when you wake up, life places a pen in your hand and says, write. You are the author of your story. You may not have written the first chapter, the place you were born, the family you were born into, the struggles you faced early in life, but every chapter from this moment forward is in your control. The past may explain you, but it does not define you. The past may shape you, but it does not trap you. The moment you realize this, the moment you truly grasp that your future is still open, you will never again feel powerless. Think about it. A single choice can change the entire direction of a life. One book can ignite your imagination and shift your thinking. One conversation can open a new door. One decision to leave behind toxic habits or toxic people can create space for growth. It doesn't always take something dramatic. Often it is the small, consistent choices that create the most powerful transformations. Whether you pick up your phone or pick up a book, whether you spend your money on instant pleasure or invest it in your future, whether you waste your evenings or use them to build skills, each of those little decisions adds up, and they carve the path you will eventually walk. Some people spend their lives waiting for fate. They say, if it's meant to be, it will be. But life doesn't work that way. If it's meant to be, it will only be because you make it so. If you want better health, you can't sit back and wait for fate to hand it to you. You eat better, you exercise, you take care of yourself. If you want wealth, you can't wait for fate to drop money in your lap. You learn how to manage, how to save, how to multiply. If you want better relationships, you can't just hope that someone will show up and treat you perfectly. You learn to grow, to communicate, to give, to love. Your future is not determined by the stars. It is determined by the standards you set for yourself every single day. I want you to imagine two people starting from the same place. Both of them are struggling. Both of them are broke. Both of them are unmotivated. One person says, "This is my life, nothing will change. My future is already decided," and they stay where they are. They surrender. They let the script play out without ever realizing they could have written their own. The other person says, "This is where I am, but this is not where I will stay. My future is open. My future is in my hands." That person begins to read. They begin to work. They begin to improve. At first, the difference between the two is invisible. But give it a year, give it 5 years, give it 10 years, and their lives are worlds apart. Same starting point, completely different destination. Why? Because one surrendered to fate, while the other chose responsibility. Never let anyone tell you that your future is sealed. Don't let your failures trick you into believing you cannot change. Don't let your past convince you that you don't deserve a better tomorrow. Every single person who has achieved greatness started exactly where you are now at the point of decision. They chose to believe that the future is flexible, that destiny is not locked, that every step forward can create a new possibility. And that belief gave them the courage to act. Now, this doesn't mean the path will be easy. Change is uncomfortable. Growth is demanding. Building a better future requires effort, sacrifice, and discipline. But the alternative, staying stuck, repeating the same patterns, living a life far below your potential, is far more painful in the long run. Regret is always heavier than discipline. And once you realize that your future is not fixed, you start to see every day as an opportunity, not a sentence. Every day becomes a fresh page you can fill with choices that move you closer to the person you were meant to become. So the next time you catch yourself saying, "This is just the way I am," stop yourself. That phrase is poison. That phrase is a prison. You are not just the way you are. You are who you choose to become. The next time you feel trapped by your past, remember this truth. Your past is not a prophecy, it's just a story you've lived through. And you can begin a new story right now. Life will not hand you a future. Life will hand you opportunities, challenges, and decisions. And with those, you will either build or you will waste. That's why Jim Rohn always reminded us, the future is not something you wait for. The future is something you create. Your tomorrow is shaped by the seeds you plant today, and the harvest, whether rich or empty, will be determined by you. So don't sit back and wait. Don't think the ending of your story is already written. Your future is not fixed. Your future is flexible. Your future is open. And the pen is in your hands right now. The question is, what story will you write? 3. Stop waiting for permission. Too many people are waiting for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect opportunity, but the perfect time never comes. The truth? No one is coming to rescue you. No one is coming to hand you success on a silver platter. If you want it, you must rise and claim it, because in the end, it sets up to you. One of the biggest traps people fall into is waiting. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, the perfect signal that now is the time to act. They wait for the economy to improve, for someone to believe in them, for their circumstances to line up just right. They wait for permission. And the problem with waiting is that while you wait, life passes by. Days turn into weeks. Weeks turn into years. And before you know it, you've spent most of your time on earth waiting for a green light that was never going to come. The truth is, no one is coming to give you permission. No one is going to knock on your door and say, "Now is the time. You're ready. Everything is safe, and the road is clear." Life doesn't work that way. Opportunity rarely arrives with a trumpet announcement. In fact, opportunity often shows up disguised as hard work, risk, and uncertainty. That's why so many people miss it. They are waiting for clarity when what they need is courage. If you want to change your life, you must stop waiting for someone else to tell you it's okay to begin. You don't need your friend's approval to start a business. You don't need your family's blessing to chase a dream. You don't need your boss to tell you it's the right time to learn a new skill or change careers. You don't need society to validate your choices before you make them. The only person you need permission from is yourself. And the moment you grant it, the moment you decide that your dream is worth the risk, everything changes. Think about the people you admire most. The inventors, the leaders, the entrepreneurs, the thinkers, the artists. Do you think they waited until the world told them it was safe? Do you think they asked for permission to create, to build, to innovate? No, they stepped out when it was risky, when it was uncertain, when no one believed in them. They gave themselves permission. And history remembers their courage, not their hesitation. The problem with waiting for permission is that it trains your mind to depend on others for your decisions. You become a follower instead of a leader. You live by other people's timelines instead of your own. You allow their doubts to become your doubts, their fears to become your fears. And that's dangerous, because most people are not living their dreams. Most people have settled for comfort instead of greatness. If you wait for them to approve your vision, you will spend your life shrinking to fit their expectations. But when you stop waiting and start acting, you step into a new level of freedom. You begin to see that progress doesn't come from approval, it comes from action. Every great achievement in history started with one person who was willing to take a step before the path was clear. They didn't wait for conditions to be perfect, they moved, and the path revealed itself along the way. That's how momentum is created. Action produces clarity. Movement produces direction. But you will never experience that if you keep waiting for someone else to confirm what you already know in your heart. Let me tell you something important. There will always be reasons not to act. There will always be uncertainty, always risk, always obstacles. If you wait until everything is safe, you will wait forever. The people who succeed are not the ones who had no fear. They are the ones who moved in spite of fear. They didn't wait for fear to disappear. They acted while their knees were shaking, while their heart was racing. They learned that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward anyway. So if you've been waiting for the right time, the right opportunity, the right sign, let this be your wake-up call. The right time is now. The opportunity is the one in front of you. The sign is the fact that you're hearing these words today. This is your permission. This is your green light. This is your reminder that your life is not meant to be delayed until someday. Someday is not on the calendar. All you have is today, and if you use today well, you will not have to fear tomorrow. And here's the beautiful thing. Once you stop waiting for permission, you stop needing it. You begin to live boldly. You begin to live authentically. You begin to trust yourself. You realize that you are capable of more than you imagine, and each small step you take builds confidence for the next one. You stop asking, "Can I?" and you start declaring, "I will." That shift in mindset alone can move mountains. So let me challenge you. Right now, what dream have you been delaying? What idea have you been keeping hidden because you were waiting for someone else to validate it? What step have you been afraid to take because you thought it wasn't the right time? Today is the day to stop waiting. Today is the day to act. You may not have the whole map, but you don't need it. You just need to take the first step. And once you take it, the next step will become visible. That's how progress works. At the end of your life, the greatest pain will not be the mistakes you made, but the opportunities you never took. Regret always whispers, "What if?" And that whisper will haunt you if you let fear keep you waiting. Don't let it. Don't trade the possibility of greatness for the comfort of permission. Don't waste your years waiting for someone to clap for you before you move. The applause will come later, if you have the courage to act now. So stop waiting. Stop asking. Stop delaying. No one else gets to decide when you begin. No one else gets to choose your moment. That decision belongs to you and only you. And when you finally make it, when you finally step forward with determination, you'll realize something powerful. The permission you were waiting for was never out there. It was inside you all along. 4. The gift of choice. Life gives you a precious gift. The ability to choose. You can choose growth over comfort. You can choose discipline over regret. You can choose action over excuses. And every time you choose wisely, your life moves one step closer to greatness. Jim Rohn often reminded us, for things to change, you have to change. For things to get better, you have to get better. It doesn't start out there. It starts in here. One of the greatest gifts life has given us is the ability to choose every day and every moment. You and I are faced with choices. Some are small, almost invisible. And some are big, life-altering. But together, those choices shape the direction of our lives. It's not the big, dramatic events that usually determine our destiny. It's the quiet, consistent decisions we make daily. The problem is that too many people underestimate this gift. They don't realize how much power they hold in the ability to choose. They drift through life as if they were passengers on a train, forgetting that they can pull the lever and switch tracks whenever they decide. Choice is the difference between growth and stagnation, between success and failure, between joy and regret. You can choose growth over comfort. You can choose discipline over excuses. You can choose courage over fear. You can choose to take responsibility instead of placing blame. Each of those choices may feel small in the moment, but multiplied over months and years, they create completely different futures. Think about two people who wake up tomorrow morning. One chooses to hit the snooze button and sleep in, while the other chooses to get up early and work on their goals. One chooses to spend the evening watching endless television, while the other chooses to study, read, or practice a skill. One chooses to complain about problems, while the other chooses to look for solutions. Now, on the surface, those differences may not look dramatic after a day or two, but stretch that out over 5 years, over 10 years. Suddenly those choices separate them like night and day. One person wonders why nothing ever changes. The other is living a life filled with progress, purpose, and opportunity. And it all started with simple choices. Jim Rohn used to say, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day, while failure is simply a few errors in judgment repeated every day. That's the gift of choice. You can't always choose what happens to you, but you can always choose how you respond. You can't always choose the cards life deals you, but you can choose how to play them. You can't always choose the people around you, but you can choose your attitude, your habits, your focus, and your values. The danger is when people give away this gift. They act as if they have no choice at all. They say things like, that's just the way I am, or that's just the way life is. But those are not truths. Those are excuses. The moment you say you don't have a choice, you've already surrendered your power. You hand over your future to circumstances instead of directing it yourself. And once you do that, you trap yourself in a prison of your own making. But when you remember that you do have a choice, everything changes. Imagine what your life would look like if you approached every challenge with the question, what can I choose right now that will move me forward? Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You begin to ask, what choice do I have in this situation? That shift turns frustration into empowerment. Suddenly you realize you're not stuck. You're simply facing a decision. Some choices are hard. Yes. Choosing discipline over ease is hard. Choosing long-term growth over short-term comfort is hard. Choosing to forgive instead of holding a grudge is hard. Choosing to keep going when you feel like giving up is hard. Hard is what develops character. Hard is what separates the average from the extraordinary. Every great achievement in human history started with a choice. Someone chose to believe there was more. Someone chose to try when it was easier to quit. Someone chose to act when others stayed still. Someone chose to stand for truth when others bowed to fear. That's how history is written. Not by the circumstances, but by the choices made in the middle of those circumstances. And here's the beautiful thing. Your choices don't just shape your life. They influence the lives of everyone around you. When you choose to be disciplined, you inspire your family. When you choose to be courageous, you encourage your friends. When you choose to grow, you elevate your community. Your choices ripple outward in ways you may never see, but they matter more than you think. So the next time you feel powerless, remind yourself of this gift. The next time you feel stuck, remind yourself you have a choice. You can choose to stay where you are, or you can choose to step forward. You can choose to keep repeating the past, or you can choose to create a new future. You can choose excuses, or you can choose results. And the beauty of life is that no one can take that away from you. People can take your possessions, your job, even your comfort, but no one can take your power to choose. At the end of the day, your life is the sum of the choices you make. And the greatest tragedy would be to waste this gift by never using it, by waiting for life to decide for you. Don't do that. Don't drift. Don't hand over your freedom. Use the gift. Use it wisely. Use it every day. Because when you understand the power of choice, you stop living as a victim of circumstance and start living as the author of your destiny. And that, my friends, is the true gift of life. The gift to choose who you will become. The gift to choose what kind of life you will build. And the gift to choose how your story will be written. So if you remember nothing else from today's talk, remember these 4 words. It's up to you. When life gets hard, repeat them. When doubt creeps in, repeat them. When you feel stuck, repeat them. Because your future isn't waiting on chance, or luck, or permission. Your future is waiting on you. So I ask you again, only 4 words to transform your life. Are you ready? Thank you.